Hey, look mum, no computer here, and I've been getting all of my synthesizers, well, touring synthesizers ready for tour, including building this portable Furby organ, this quadraphonic fart box, and making a lot of this work again. Anyway, I figured whilst I was doing this, I'm using a lot of tools to fix this stuff up. Why don't we talk about tools? We've never spoken about tools and my workshop side of things. We always talk about all this musical stuff. Well, let's go over and have a look at the workshop area. Ooh. So yeah, we're over at the other half of the room, which is actually the bit where the stuff gets built. And there's loads of tools around here. So let's have a look around. This literally turned up the other day and there's something wrong with it for some reason. The characters, well, it's working normally up here, but then for some reason it's, yeah, playing twice in the screen with the wrong characters on the bottom. No idea what's wrong with it. Maybe it's Captain Colonel Chip or something's gone wrong. I don't know. Ooh, it's glowing in the back. But I need to find some tools to fix this. Because obviously the synthesizers and the copious amounts of crap, you know, needs fixing and stuff. So, you know, you need tools for that. So I only started really kind of like gaining a lot of equipment about a year ago when I moved into this place, which was a bit more permanent than the last place, which was a guardianship. So when I used to live there, I had to be quite mobile in case I had to move out in 2 weeks. I didn't want to be shoveling around loads of tools. So I only had a handful of things, including this thing. This was £12 brand new. I've had it for about 10 years and it was, it's probably drilled nearly every single hole in between 2010 and 2017, 2018. You know, this thing worked and it was only 12 quid. So if you want to drill, just, you know, the cheap ones, as long as they're corded, because, you know, cheap battery ones are pretty crappy. I mean, but sadly this one died. But after about 7 years or so of use, I mean, you can't complain. 12 quid, that went pretty far. But hey, but obviously I ended up going and getting a replacement and thinking, let's go and get a fancy one. Ugh. So I've got a DeWalt drill. In fact, I've got quite a few DeWalt tools purely because you can use the batteries on the same tools. For instance, this pile driver, something that's very useful. It's like not a drill, it's more like a screwdriver. So when it gets a bit stuck, it kind of acts like a hammer, kind of chuck, 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 chuck. So yeah, get your drills on, and they have lots of other. They've got lots of other tools, including circular saws for when you want to slice up your wood for your modular synth cases. I used this in the car park of Wicks earlier to actually cut up some wood to fit in my car. If you can't tell, I like black and yellow. It's a nice colour scheme because this is the toolbox. And I'm quite a chaotic individual, so I did try to keep it quite organised by having a wall just over here with outlines of tools. But as you can see, sadly, none of the tools that have been outlined are actually there anymore. And that's because, yeah, no matter how much I try, I just can't be organised. So it seemed to make sense to have a toolbox. So then you can keep the organisation and chaos all in one, you know, box, basically. So this is where the chaos is kept for all the tools. And I tell you what, ever since I got a toolbox, I'm not looking back because it's really useful because I know where all of my tools are. So I'm not looking around everywhere, but I'm just spent ages looking in here for it instead. But it's quite quick, so it's alright. So to start with electronics and stuff, all you really need is a cheapo soldering iron. You know, like 20, 30 quid, not the super cheap ones because they break quite quickly, but all you need is a cheap one and then a pair of pliers, a pair of snippers to snip all of your little wires and stuff. The rest of the tools, you use your teeth. Because your teeth actually sometimes do better jobs. But I'm just going to show you what's in here. Show you what kind of tools I use daily, basically. Well, I use these quite a lot. I've had these Work Zone, which is actually a Pound Shop brand. So I've had these Workshop Pound Shop pliers for about probably 8 years as well. So, you know, and I still use them. So cheap tools, you know, lo and behold nowadays, are actually pretty good. There's another pair that's like Pound Shop stuff. I bought these at the car boot sale. These are rubbish. I'm actually going to get rid of them now. The old ones. I've got a multimeter here. It's not a great multimeter, but it's good enough. It's a Stanley multimeter, but I've never found the need for an expensive multimeter, so this one seems to do the job just fine. You can tune synthesizers, calibrate them and all that stuff, you know. just fine. So why do you need a proper one? Actually, this gets quite a lot of use, and not for what it's meant to be for. Basically, I use this mostly for a continuity tester that's nice and loud. And, you know, continuity tester. You can test where there's shorts and stuff. For instance, this toolbox. But yeah, the hoser cable tester, it's good to, like, test if your cables are working or not, because there's nothing more frustrating than spending ages working out what the problem is and then finding out it's the cable. You've got to have a knife, a Stanley knife, a decent Stanley knife, because you never know when you're going to be needing to cut through some sellotape and stuff. It's good for packages, good for everything, always nice. But whatever you do, don't forget it's in your pocket when you go to the pub. I've accidentally done that a few times. Going to Weatherspoons, security guard pats me down, and then I have to give him my Stanley knife. Never a good thing. This thing's quite good. This actually cost me £1. No, maybe it was £2. But what this does is it's like a horse's mouth. If you look really carefully, its lips go down and then its teeth pull back and strip the wire. Look at that. No. Ooh. This is really good wire as well. This is the only wire I use. It's like single core from Rapid. I'm not really sure. I'll put a link to it in the description. But you know, it's good if you want to save your teeth, basically. These things are called Molex connectors. You can get them in lots of different sizes. And basically what these are kind of nice ways to interconnect PCB boards and all that jazz. How do you get them connected between this wire and this? Well, you use a Molex crimping tool. I think these are about £15. There's a little metal connector thing that's like tiny. You can't see it, it's on your finger. I pop it inside the crimping tool. I pop the wire in. Ooh, pop it into its thingamajiggy. Give it a squeeze. And then that bit's on the end. Woo! Woo! And then this basically just clips inside this plastic thing. Like so. Connection. And look at that. How good is that? Good to have a pair of some files in there. This thing, not very good. Don't really like them. It's another alternative to one of these. I don't like these. Bye-bye. Don't know what else we got. Oh, a solder sucker by Bafako. A Bafako solder sucker. But this is when I've got a secret weapon. I'll show you in a little bit. But this is when I haven't got my secret weapon with me. Velcro. You always need some Velcro, trust me. There are times when you just need something connected quite quickly but not permanently. It's always good. And the nice fat stuff from eBay. It's easy to find. Ooh. Oh. I can't remember what they're called. I'm going to sound really dim. Like, I can't remember what these things are called. Micrometer. Is it a micrometer? So I've been getting into 3D printing quite a lot to make parts, including this thing right here, which is actually the base for a Furby. So you drill this into the wood and then you clip the Furby into it. This took like 5 minutes to design, thanks to this thing. Micrometering. Remember when you were a kid and you went to go and get your shoe size measured at Clark's shoe shop? Well, this is like that, but for Furbies. You are size 7. Having a socket set that's long is pretty good for when you want to tighten up your potentiometers and jack sockets. A various array of screwdrivers. It's always good because you never know what kind of screwdriver you need, from big to little. But that is the small tools toolbox. Let's go and have a look at some bigger things, shall we? Up here we've got some more tools. And then we got these two beautiful things, which are low spot minis. So these low spot 3D printers, I'm very lucky to have. And initially, I didn't really know what to use them for because synthesizers don't really need 3D printed things. But then I realized they do. Like these beautiful cable tidies. Oh my God, I just downloaded them from Thingiverse. This was probably one of the first few things that I've downloaded and it was very useful. You can actually 3D print and make proper rails for synthesizer cases, as well as the synthesizer cases. You can download from Thingiverse various amounts of synthesizer projects which are really cool and useful. And I've actually used these a heck of a lot in a couple of projects that I am covering in June, including some pretty big and very outlandish projects that you can download and build yourself. So you'll see a lot more of these coming up very soon, but these things are really, really good. And as I've got better and better at designing CAD on a website called Onshape, which is actually an online CAD designing thing that you design 3D stuff with. You can just make pretty much anything. I mean, 3D printers have come a heck of a long way since I built one, which was in 2010. I built a rep wrap and it was quite rubbish. These ones are amazing. I know that the Lulzbot and the Lulzbot mini range and the Tazers and all that are blooming amazing and really quite flexible at what you can print and very accurate and strong. But you'll be seeing these a lot more in June because there's a project that I've been working on quite a bit coming out there. And, you know, it's something you could build as well. So keep an eye on that. But very useful. Beautiful machines. So here's my, main workbench. As you can see, we've got the golden, most used kind of tool, which is a soldering iron. I got to send this. How cool is that? Thank you very much. I'm still using this lovely Hakko. A vise. You just get the ribbon cable. Just pop it in there, like so. And then you go over to the vise. This is a cheapo vise. I think it was about £5 off eBay. And you just get it. You tighten it up. Whoop. And slowly but surely. And then, boom! There we go. It's on. Yeah. You can see over here, it looks like I've got a lot of stuff going on right here. But the fact is, I probably only actually use this one, which is just a power supply that gives out plus and minus 12 volts. Well, actually 5 to 24 volts. I use this one the most because you just turn it on and it works. The problem with these ones is you turn them on and you have to flick a load of switches and stuff for them to work. But regardless, you never know when you're going to need 4 different power supplies. So this is the synthesizer I use to test things and use things over here. It was sent over by Peter Hess and I use it to kind of jam when I'm and listen to random music when I'm making things. I should share more about it because it's really cool, but this is a really cool delay actually. It's the Music from Outer Space delay with Peter Hess's custom faceplate. It's pretty awesome. Look at that mixer. So cool. I've also got a webcam, which is for when I do building live streams, where I just live stream my hands and talking about what I'm doing. You can unvelcro it and bring it down to the next ledge. Boom. And then we've obviously got this to do our tax return. Everybody needs to do that, right? There's some stuff up here, random stuff. I've got pens. Everybody needs a collection of pens. We've got jack sockets that are running out quite rapidly. Oh, and the piece de resistance. Gaffer tape. Don't forget about solder fumes. They build up over time and they screw your lungs up. So get a nice solder extractor. I've got to remember to actually turn it on more than I do. It's a good thing to have. And, you know, whenever you can remember to use it, make sure you use it. Woo. There's lead solder and there's lead-free solder. I'm yet to work out which one I like the most. I think I like lead solder the most, but when you use lead solder, you've got to remember to wash your fingers afterwards, or you'll end up getting lead poisoning. But this one's got more fumes, and it needs more temperature to kind of solidify. So, you know, make your decisions wisely. I've been wanting to do this for a long while, ever since I went to the Nervous Squirrel's house and found out he had a long thing with loads of wires hanging off. I was like, I need to do that. I'm not turning back. It's the most useful thing ever, you know, having just all of your wires in one place. It's not the biggest, you know, varying kind of collection. There's like resistors over here, and there's capacitors up there, and there's like chips and stuff, and there's loads of random things. There's a whole box of Game Boy bits. These are actually Game Boy headphone adapters. If anybody wants some, please let me know. Oh, I've got a box dedicated to the musical jacket project. But yeah, always good to have a large collection of this stuff because you never know when you're going to need some stuff. What we got here? Right, and this. Always good to have a large collection of IC sockets. These are for Arduino Nanos. They're very useful because when you burn an Arduino Nano out, which I tend to do quite a bit, because I buy the cheap ones and sometimes they just burn out when you turn them on. Yeah, it's good to make them removable. It's always useful. Oh God, just stay and think. But there's like, just got loads of crud in this workshop. And it's just like, you never know when you're going to need more. Oh, I don't know. Here's a random box. So this box, I probably... Oh, this box is... So here's unfinished projects, PCB projects actually. So I've got... Look at these in here. Oh, so many different PCB boards. One day I'll sit down and finish them all. Maybe I should invite everybody around and we can all do a load of PCB soldering. All in a PCB party in like a sports centre. That'd be awesome. Let's just bend some sheet metal, shall we? Okay. Woohoo! Oh yeah, look at that. Bent slightly more than 90 degrees, but that's because I wasn't taking... Ah! It's always good to have some, what are these called? It's always good to have some clamps. You never know when you're going to need to clamp down on speeding. There's an Apple II there. Most of it works. I've just got to get, find a use for it one day. This is something I'm pretty damn excited about. I got it last week and I've used it quite a few times already, and it's changed my repairing and replacing life completely. This is the Anasty ZD915, and yeah, it's a motorized solder sucker. Basically it's like that Bifaka one I showed you earlier that goes and sucks out solder, but this one's motorized. Usually these things cost about 500 quid. They're very expensive for something that just sucks solder out. But this one on eBay, you could get it brand new for 70 quid. 70 pounds. It's amazing. So I bought it expecting it to be rubbish, and it actually does the job pretty damn well. And we're going to do that right now. So we're going to let it heat up. It's a little slow at heating up actually. But as you can see what it looks like Han Solo's gun. There's a hole in the front of this soldering iron. There's a tiny little hole, and then that is where you put the pad that you want to suck the solder from, and sucks the solder all the way into this like solder reservoir. Sounds like a pig, and then the air just kind of sucks through, and then you can empty this out from all your soldering escapades. Give it a little bit of a chimney sweep, clean out them pipes. Whew. And let's pull the solder off it. Fell out. If you want a relatively alright solder sucker, and it's 70 quid, I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's lasted me a week already, and it's been used quite a few times. So this is another workbench. It's always good to have more workbenches because there's always unfinished projects that require workbenches to take up. So this is something for tour, and I've built a lighter version of the mixer box. Basically, it's just a digital mixer. There's a lovely doodle on top of some Furbies and stuff on top of this Toman case. It's a lightweight one. And there's like, yeah, something I've been working on, and I'll get it done for tour. And here is something every person on this earth requires, and if they haven't, you know, their life is not complete. And that is a box full of miscellaneous screws and baked beans. So this would be your doomsday kind of suitcase, because everybody needs a tin of baked beans and, you know, loads of bolts. I just think I was really bad. I bought a load of bolts and I just poured them into here, and it was probably the worst idea I ever had, because I spent so long going through it, like going from here, cutting my fingers and going, I swear there's more of those types of screws in here. I swear there is. So yeah, you know, it's pretty useful to have for when you need, like, when you're not sure exactly what kind of screw you need. You just go through here. It's always good. It's always good, and when you're hungry. Ooh. Oh, welcome to the kitchen. With a green Furby fridge, of course. But over here, this is like the, you know, where you drill some panels. This drill press is pretty cool. It was actually only £40 brand new. Might have been 60. I can't remember, but it's quite useful for when you want to drill some panels and you're feeling a little bit more accurate than usual. Then you go over to the drill press and you get some drilling done. But you can literally buy a brand new, pretty decent drill press for 60 quid. I've had this for about 2 years and I use it every so often, and it works. What can you say? Oh, I love jigsaws. So yeah, that was the, you know, a little tour of the various tools that I use in the workshop to build synthesizers and fix machines. I hope that was of use. London, 30th of May. I do a lot of live streams and vlogs about lots of tools and stuff on my Patreon as well, before these kind of videos as well. So if you think that's of use, go and check that out on the Patreon. And yeah, here's another tool. Ugh. Ooh, that's a bit... Oh, it's brand new, actually. Yeah, I've been looking at my computer. Get some tools. Don't be scared to try it.